The clock hits 3 a.m. and your legs simply won't quit. It isn't exactly a sharp pain, but it feels like a fist is clenching deep inside your calf, and nothing you do seems to help. You try stretching it out and walking around the room, yet the sensation lingers while you stare at the ceiling in total exhaustion. This has happened so many times now that you actually dread the moment your head hits the pillow. Most people assume this is just a side effect of stress or a natural part of getting older. What if the real cause is much simpler than that? Your body might be running on an empty tank because it lacks a basic building block that keeps everything moving. Most people have no clue this deficiency is happening to them. But by the end of this video, you will know exactly what is draining your energy and how to fix it using nothing but the food on your plate. Imagine a car trying to run without enough oil. The engine doesn't just quit right away, but it starts to stutter and overheat, while small problems pop up that seem totally unrelated. Your body works the same way when magnesium gets too low. This mineral runs over 300 different jobs inside you. Things like keeping your heart beating steady and letting your muscles relax. When it's missing, everything starts breaking down at once. The scary part is that up to 80% of people aren't getting nearly enough of it. This isn't some made-up number from a supplement brand trying to sell you something. Nutrition researchers have been tracking this for decades, and the numbers are consistent. Most people feel the effects every single day, but never connect what they're feeling to what they're eating. You might wonder how this is even possible when grocery stores are overflowing with salads and smoothies. The problem actually started about 100 years ago, deep within the soil itself. Modern farming pulls minerals out of the ground much faster than nature can put them back. Synthetic fertilizers make crops grow fast and look good on the shelf, but they don't replace the magnesium that gets lost along the way. When you look at studies comparing vegetables from the 1930s to what we eat today, the results are shocking. Some crops have lost 80 to 90% of their mineral content over the last few generations. You could be doing everything right by eating your greens and avoiding junk food, but you're still running low because the food is depleted before it even reaches your kitchen. To make matters worse, the standard blood tests most doctors use are almost guaranteed to miss the problem. Only about 1% of your body's magnesium actually sits in your blood. The rest is stored deep inside your cells and bones, and a standard blood test doesn't check those at all. So your results come back looking fine, your doctor sends you home, and you're left exhausted with no answers. Millions of people are being told everything looks normal while their bodies are quietly struggling. That's exactly where this problem hides. The nighttime symptoms are usually the first thing people notice, and they're hard to ignore once they start. You go to bed tired, fall asleep, and then somewhere around 2 or 3 in the morning, your calf seizes up. You jerk awake, try to flex your foot, and stumble out of bed to walk it off. Or maybe it's not a cramp. It's just this restless, crawling feeling in your legs that no position makes it better. You move them, it eases for a second, and then it comes back the moment you try to be still. Here's what's actually going on. Think of your muscles like a light switch with 2 parts. Calcium is what flips the muscle on and makes it squeeze. Magnesium is what flips it back off and lets it relax. When you don't have enough magnesium, that off switch gets stuck. The muscle fires and can't fully let go, so you get cramps, twitches, and tension that just won't quit. Your body isn't broken. It's just missing the one thing it needs to finish the job. But the legs are only half the story. Magnesium also helps your brain wind down at night. It helps your body produce melatonin, the hormone that makes you feel drowsy, and it activates GABA, a calming signal in your brain that basically turns the volume down on your thoughts. When magnesium is low, both of those things stop working properly. So even when your body is completely wiped out, your brain stays switched on. You lie there running through tomorrow's to-do list, replaying old conversations, feeling weirdly anxious about nothing specific. Your body wants to sleep, and your brain just won't let it. For a lot of people, that's not a mental health problem. That's a missing mineral. And then morning comes, and you feel worse than you did the night before. You get through the day on caffeine, hit a wall around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and find you can't focus or feel flat and irritable in a way you can't quite explain. This is what running on empty actually feels like from the inside. It's not dramatic, it's not a crisis. It's just a low, grinding kind of bad that becomes your normal so slowly you forget it wasn't always this way. And that's the part that's hardest to see when you're in the middle of it. The good news is that fixing this doesn't require a cabinet full of supplements or a complete diet overhaul. It mostly requires knowing which foods are actually doing the work and eating enough of them consistently. Start with pumpkin seeds, because nothing else comes close per serving. A small handful, about 28 grams, gives you roughly 150 milligrams of magnesium. That's a third of what most adults need in a day, and you can eat them while you're just sitting there watching TV. Dark chocolate is next, and not as a cheat, but as a legitimate source. 2 squares of 70% or higher, dark chocolate delivers around 50 milligrams. Black beans are one of the most underrated ones. A cup of cooked black beans gets you close to 120 milligrams, and they fold into almost any meal without thinking about it. Spinach, almonds, avocado, and whole grains like brown rice and quinoa all carry meaningful amounts too. These aren't exotic ingredients. They're things most people already buy, just not intentionally or consistently enough. What a magnesium-rich day actually looks like in practice is simpler than people expect. Breakfast with some almonds or a smoothie with spinach blended in. Lunch with a black bean base or a grain bowl. A small handful of pumpkin seeds in the afternoon instead of whatever you'd normally reach for. Dinner with a leafy green side and maybe a couple squares of dark chocolate afterward. That's it. No tracking apps, no meal prep Sunday. Just a loose pattern that adds up. Because the soil problem is real. Variety matters more than it used to. Relying on just 1 or 2 foods and expecting that to cover you isn't enough anymore, since no single food is as mineral-rich as it once was. Getting magnesium from a mix of different foods across the day gives you a much better shot at actually hitting what your body needs. Don't look for a magic food. Just spread it out. The timeline for noticing a difference tends to surprise people. Sleep and leg cramps are usually the first things to shift, and they can improve within a few days to a couple of weeks of consistently eating better. Not months, not a year. People who make these changes and stick with them often report that the nighttime cramps just quietly stop happening. The 3 a.m. wake-ups become less frequent, and after a week or two, they realize they've slept through the night in a way they hadn't in months. The daytime fog starts to lift a bit too. Energy feels more even. The mid-afternoon wall gets less brutal. That's what a full tank actually feels like. Not superhuman, just normal. The way your body was supposed to feel all along, before the slow drain made you forget what that was like. Your body isn't actually broken. It just hasn't had the fuel it needs to function. And now you finally have the answer why. If this helped you out, hit subscribe so you stay in the loop for what's coming next.